Song sheets. Here's some. They're all the same.
Sheila. Oh, I'm coming to Florida.
Make sure she sees the other.
I was visiting.
Sheila and Mark. Sheila and Mark. Custom verse 2. So people can read it. Don't go on.
Welcome to the Weatherman Club of Livermore. How's the sound on this?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all you do for our communities, both near and far.
We don't have a flag.
There'll be one on the screen.
Great.
It's an improvement.
Pledge of Allegiance. Dennis O'Brien, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Song singers.
Good evening, everyone. So because Spencer is here, I don't know about you, but I watch the news and the weather all the time, and I feel like Spencer's a friend of mine. So because of the weather, we decided to do You Are My Sunshine.
Here we go.
Lyrics? 1, 2, wait, 3. Lyrics? What?
Lyrics?
There we go.
There we go. Wow, he's been drinking again.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, on Channel 7, the weather forecast was for sun. Let's plan an outing and go to Del Val. We'll be having so much fun. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Oh, I touched this.
Amazing disasters.
I touched your...
Delighted and happy. Thank you, Mary. Will, thought for the day. It's all yours.
Thought for the day. First off, my dad used to sing me that song when I was a very little boy. And it brings back that great memory. Is this mic on?
Lift it up, lift it up. There you go.
I'll figure it out eventually. All right. So often in Rotary, we do a lot of good things, but sometimes we don't actually see the net result because it happens a lot longer after we've actually already done it. But it doesn't diminish the impact or our efforts. And here's a story that resonated with me because somehow it takes a long time to see the good that's actually done. It's called Little by Little, and there's a Tanzanian proverb that says, little by little, a little becomes a lot. Dashrath Manji had a hammer, a chisel, and a mountain of grief. His wife, Faguni, hadn't died because of the fall that injured her. She had died because the nearest doctor was 90 miles away by one narrow, rocky path that wound its way around a very steep ridge that divided their village in India from its neighbors. If he had only been able to travel straight through the ridge, Dashrath knew, He could have gotten her to the doctor in time. As it was, he had to live with the memory that Fajuni leaving him on the way as he sped along the circuitous path for help. In his grief, Dashrath could have chosen to do nothing. He did not. He walked up to the steep rock face of the ridge at the next town, the edge of town, to which no road ran, and started hammering. "Lunatic!" the people hissed and murmured, and yelled straight at Dashrath. What did he think he was doing? Digging to Nepal? Anything else would have been a better use of his time. It's not like he could single-handedly make a path through a foothill in the Himalayas. He must be mad with grief. Dashrath didn't mind. Every day he came back and hammered a few more centimeters. Weeks passed, then months, then years. The people had mocked him started bringing him food, buying him new tools for his old hammer and chisel wore out. Eventually, everyone knew what only at first had been apparent to him. 22 years, and I'm going to repeat that, 22 years after he began hammering at a wall of rock, Dashrath had carved out a path straight through it. His road was 110 meters long, 7.7 meters deep in places, and 9.1 meters wide. It shortened the distance to the next town from 55 kilometers to 15 kilometers and transformed the life of his village. He became famous across India as Mountain Man and lived out his days knowing that the next time a loved one needed to go to the doctor quickly, they could. Little by little, a man moved a mountain. Thank you for attending this.
Will Bates, and thank you for that very meaningful thought for the day. So, meeting front line. Is this working? Okay, good. Meeting front line, spur reporter, Tim Berry. Tim, go. Tim's right here. Great. Spur publisher, Linda Stanford. Linda, are you out here tonight? Spur publisher, Linda Stanford. Photographer, Irv Stowers. Irv is nearby here. Photographing, right? Over there by all those sparrows, Irv. Yeah. Next up, Don Wentz, who's been working all week on the AV, along with other AVers, which I greatly appreciate. Reader, Linda Tinney.
Hey, what a greeting. Wow.
Linda.
Well greeted.
And more frontliners. We have even more frontliners, sergeants at arms, both David Rounds and Debbie Peck.
Hello.
That wonderful combo back again. Our wonderful web mojo, Kathy Coyle. Thank you, Kathy. Kelly Bowers with Public Outreach. Is Kelly here this evening? Recovering. Good. Wow. Great. And finally, the videographer, Tim Berry, right here. So, introduction of visiting Rotarians and guests.
I'd like to announce that Bonnie Schmidt from the Tri-Valley Evening Club is here.
Welcome, Bonnie.
Hello, Bonnie.
Hello, Bonnie.
Do we have any other visiting Rotarians?
Do we have any guests of Rotarians? Oh, Linda's got.
Go ahead.
That's just rude.
Hello, Rotary. I would like to introduce my guest, Matt.
Welcome, Matt.
Matt is a business consultant. He is here to help us all see what we're not doing right. And he has come to drink wine with us this evening. So thank you for joining us, Matt.
Okay.
Hello, Pat and fellow Rotarians. I would like to introduce for the first time my wife.
Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my wife, Adele.
Welcome, Adele.
President Pat, is this thing on? There we go. President Pat and fellow Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my wife, Diane.
President Pat, fellow Rotarians and guests, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Broughton. She's a private banker here at Fremont Bank in Livermore.
Fellow Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my wife, Joan, of 46 years.
President Pat, I have with me my lovely wife. I have with me tonight my lovely wife, Karen. We've been married a few years.
Welcome, Karen.
Hello, fellow Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my wife. We've been married 55 years, true.
Welcome.
Hi, Rotary. I'd like to introduce my wife, Jill, and we've been married a few years. Yeah.
Welcome, Jill.
Hi, Rotarians. I would like to introduce my partner, Walt Workman. We know Mary.
Fellow Rotarians, I'd like to introduce Kelly McClanahan. She is our aquatic supervisor at LARPD, so give her a warm welcome.
Okay, our announcements are next. And first up, birthdays and anniversaries, Judy and David.
I think I'm wearing the same sweater in that picture that I'm wearing now, so wow. You could recognize me. All right, so we're going to start with birthdays. If you're here, Dave will bring you a cupcake. If you're not, we're taking him home. Ed Coates, June 1st? No? Lynn Freeman, June 2nd. I know Jessica Carroll is not here, but June 7th. Carolyn Siegfried? Yep. June 9th. Gordon Jones? Oh, June 10th. Gowd. Gowd knew there was cupcakes. June 15th. David Rounds. June 17th. I'm going to go really fast to see how fast I can make my husband run around. Barbara Limberis. Nope, okay. That was June 26th. And Irv. We have to start June 27th. All right. Okay. Yes, so.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
Woo! Okay. Moving on to anniversaries. I know I did not see Jay and Mary Davis, but if they were here, they'd be celebrating 63 years. Mark Roberts and Sochi.
Yes, nicely done.
Okay, 4 years on June 10th. And Paul and Pauline Thompson. Okay, that would be 45 years on June 13th. Okay, so we're singing to Mark Roberts now all by ourselves. Here we go. Okay.
Well,
yeah, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
That's it.
President-elect Joel, I think. President-elect Joel is coming up to the mic to talk with us about some bylaws changes.
Okay, it's a requirement in our bylaws that in order to change the bylaws, are we there? Hello, hello, hello. In order to change the bylaws, it needs to be a club vote, and we need to have a quorum, which we've counted the club members who are here, we have a quorum. What the bylaw change does something very near and dear to my heart, because when I was working, I traveled so much that I couldn't make the required number of mandatory meetings, and I was told I couldn't be a Rotarian, and was out of the club for about 4.5 years, and then I retired, so I can come back. So on your table, you would see the edits that have been made and approved by the board of directors about removing the requirements for mandatory attendance, as well as the articles surrounding those. You know, what do you need to do to get excused from your mandatory attendance requirements? So right now, if we approve this, you don't have to be here all the time. We will still take attendance. And if you're not here for an extended period of time, you get a call from a past president who will say, Fred, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? You really need to come to a meeting. Anyway, so you've all been sent this as a PDF a couple of days ago. It's on the table if you need a refresher, but this is proposing that we no longer have in our bylaws any requirements for mandatory attendance at a Rotary meeting. All those in favor of this change to the bylaws, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. I believe the motion passed.
Just barely.
Just barely.
It was close.
I just want to express my appreciation to Joe. Is the mic on? Can you hear me?
That much.
I really want to express my appreciation to Joe personally and for all our members for all the work he did coordinating the bylaws change. And we had support from a number of past presidents, get this right, and we did it today. Joe made it happen. Thank you very much.
President Pat, do you want to switch mics with me? Because
Sure. Something sounds blown. You don't need a mic.
I don't
really,
need a mic.
No.
So, hello, fellow
Pat's here.
here. Well, it is just over 2 weeks before the Livermore Rodeo, and the Livermore Rodeo Parade is going to be marching down the street in downtown Livermore. So last night, I counted that we had, right now, if they show up, which they don't always, we have 80 entries. Wow. We have over 1,200 people in the parade. Wow. And it's looking like we're going to have a great parade. I haven't checked the weather yet. So I hope you can guarantee us some great weather.
For the right price.
For the right price. So a few things that are coming up. On the Wednesday before the parade, we have a lunch at the rodeo grounds. But it is a fee lunch. Everyone in both the Satellite Club and, thank you, and the Lunch Club are welcome. You need to pay the $25. Now, you should have got emails about it. If you're not, I will send one. But it's on the spur. And it is not, unfortunately, on our website, but you can go to...
It is on the website.
Yeah, Kathy
I
put
looked
it on.
today.
You have to find it.
Well, the only way I can find it is I went to news and videos and went to the past.
It was a treasure hunt to find it.
It's a treasure hunt to find
Rodeo
it.
payments paid.
Okay, so we need your money for lunch because we want a good crowd to welcome the Grand Marshal and the Community Service Award, and I'm sure that we'll see the Queen of the Livermore Rodeo and a few other people. So pay for your lunch. Then on Saturday morning from 7, we have to be out by 8. We have breakfast at Riata. Everyone is invited. Even if you can't stay for the parade. It is one time our club is going to pay for a meal for you, breakfast. So come to breakfast between 7 and 8, and then help. We need probably another dozen people. I would like another dozen people to help. So, it's coming soon. Get your vest ready, get it pressed and washed, and we'll see you at the parade.
Paul, thank you for all you do to coordinate the parade for all of us. Thank you. Next week's program.
President Pat?
Yes.
Can we roll back that last screen?
Yep, there's the one.
Okay, the lunch is on June 10th, not the 3rd. So if you show up at the rodeo grounds on the 3rd, you're working for me. No lunch. We're going to be setting stuff up, signs. I got plenty for you to do. Put toilet paper in the outhouses. Don't worry. I've got you. No, the 10th is when the luncheon is. And you still have time to pay. Excuse me, President Pat.
Thank you, President Chua. Our speaker next week will be...
Microphone.
Hello. Any microphone.
Hello.
Hold on. Hi.
That helps. Our speaker next week is Matthew Parr, and the subject will be navigating modern AI, its risks and rewards. And next, our speaker today, and our speaker liaison.
Yes, I am not the speaker, thank God. All of you will be happy about that. Okay, good evening. I've been talking about this for a long time. So when I was trying to figure out the best way to introduce Spencer to all of you, I thought many of you already know him from Channel 7. As you can see from the slide, he's more than just a weather guy. He's author, wine aficionado, husband, father, grandfather. For years, I thought he would be someone that would be really cool to meet. When he left Good Morning America, at first I was kind of sad, and then he said he was going to California. I'm like, yes, it's happening. My chance is happening. Well, it took me a little while, because that was what year? I don't even know.
1999.
1999. Okay. So through a series of events, which I will not describe here, I was able to meet him about a year and a half ago. And after meeting him and reading this book, it's amazing. I knew that you would all enjoy meeting him as well. So, Rotarians, I would like to introduce to you my friend, Spencer Christian.
Thank you. Thank you. And we are friends. We are friends. We've known each other. We've known each other long enough to say.
long time.
Yeah. I'm really happy to be here tonight. I've met so many people already, and I feel very welcome, so thanks for having me. Some of you may be old enough to remember the comedian George Burns. He says, I'm happy to be here tonight, but I'm happy to be anywhere at my age. Well, I won't say my age, but because there are probably a few people here close to my age. But I had open heart surgery about 16 weeks ago, so I'm really happy to be here. My recovery is going well. I feel pretty good. So yes, I'm happy to be here. And I brought a copy of my memoir here, not because I'm going to read this to you, but there's a passage here I might read as we get later into our interaction here. I'm very pleased that there are people here old enough to remember me from my Good Morning America days, because some of my best stories are from those days. So when I speak to audiences that are 30 and under, then I'll throw out a few names of famous people, celebrities, or sports figures, or political figures I got to know while I was at GMA, and sometimes the younger audience is clueless. Like, who is Muhammad Ali? So, anyhow, my journey has been an improbable one. My whole life, my life journey, my personal journey, my career journey especially. So I'm going to start with the career journey because, as I said, it's an improbable one. I was in college in the late 1960s. So I was a student activist. And it was an exciting time. I thought it was very exciting because of all the profound change that was happening in our society. The civil rights movement was playing out, the women's movement. There was the war in Vietnam, and that stirred up quite a bit of passion on both sides. And
I was so fascinated by the way the news media covered these changes that were going on that I decided I wanted to be a journalist. So I majored in English and minored in journalism, but I didn't have an interest in broadcasting at that time. I thought I was going to become a print journalist and a columnist for the New York Times or the Washington Post. As it turns out, the first job I got in communication was in TV. And I've now been in this business for almost 56 years.
Wow.
But it came about, the opportunity, I should say, came about because of one of the political campaigns I worked in 1969, my senior year in college. So to make a long story a little bit shorter, I had not found that first job when I came out of college. So I got married and I took, for 1 year, a teaching job at a prep school in Long Island in New York. And as Christmas of, this was 1970, as Christmas of 1970 was approaching, I received a call from, excuse me, from an old friend of mine who had worked in one of these political campaigns with me in Richmond, Virginia, which is close to where I grew up. And he said, you've got to come down here and meet this news director. There's an opening for a news reporter at the NBC TV station. And I said, TV? I don't have any experience in TV. And he wisely said, no one does till they get the first job. So I wrote a letter to this news director, and he quickly responded and invited me to come down for an interview. Now, some of you may remember the old Mary Tyler Moore show with Mr. Grant, the news director. This news director was a lot like Lou Grant. He had this gruff exterior, but if you were perceptive, you knew that he really had a big heart of gold. So I went down for the interview, and what I thought would be a 15-minute conversation turned into a 2-hour conversation. We really hit it off. And he said, I like you. I'm going to take you to the studio and have you read some news copy. And I thought, okay. So he handed me some Associated Press news copy, which he wanted me to rewrite. So I did that. And then they put me in front of this camera in the studio, which for some reason didn't intimidate me. I don't know why. Maybe things were happening too fast for me to even get nervous. So I read this copy, looking right into the camera, looking down. There was no teleprompter in those days. So the anchor people in those days used to look down, grab a sentence, and look up and deliver it to the camera. Somehow I did that, and then my Lou Grant came out and said, you're a natural, you're hired. So, see how easy it was?
Yeah.
So I was a news reporter. And I really fancied myself, as I said earlier, a journalist. So I really wanted to cover serious news like the local political beat and the federal courts and the state capitol, which I did. But I also did some light and lively features. So one day, about 2 hours into my stint as a reporter, the weatherman at our station quit unexpectedly. And the news director came to me and said, we want you to fill in on weather for a couple of weeks while we look for a new weather person. And the reason he thought I could do that was that I had done some science reporting, among other things. And I was familiar with the atmosphere, the dynamics of the atmosphere, how air masses interact. So even though I wasn't a meteorologist, I could talk fairly knowledgeably about weather. So after 2 weeks of filling in, the general manager of the station called me into his office and he said, you know, we haven't found anyone in these auditions we really like. And you've become sort of a hit. So we'd like you to be our full-time weather person. And I said, oh no, I'm a journalist, you know, I do news. And he said, we could almost double your salary. I said, I'm a weatherman. So when I started doing weather, fortunately for me, the station allowed me to continue my reporting assignments, but I became known as a weatherman because that was a very visible role, of course, and everyone is interested in weather. When people watch the news, some people don't care about the economic news or the sports news or the political news, but everyone cares about weather. So in a very short time, I was very fortunate, very blessed. I started getting offers from stations in bigger markets too. So again, to make a long story a little bit shorter, within 5 years from when I started my career, I found myself moving up to ABC in New York. And I was on the local news there for about 9 years before I joined Good Morning America. And so I want to talk a little bit about my experiences at Good Morning America because I never could have dreamed of or hoped for such a rich professional experience. I got to travel to all 50 states and interview the top newsmakers in so many fields of endeavor. I mean, sports, the arts, entertainment, politics, you name it. I was there doing these assignments, in addition to being the what our producers used to call the master of disaster. They sent me out to hurricanes and floods and blizzards. In fact, I actually stumbled into covering Loma Prieta because I was sent here to cover the Bay Bridge World Series in 1989. Wow. And I happened to have been here for the earthquake, and then I stayed for another 2 weeks to cover the recovery and all that sort of thing. And I was so terrified by that earthquake, I thought I could never live in California. I've been here now 27 years, and I've survived the smaller quakes we've had. But there's something special about morning TV that I guess it invites viewers to make a personal connection with the people you're watching. Morning TV viewers generally develop a feeling of knowing these people they watch every morning. I know him personally, and I feel so fortunate to bump into so many people who say that. But I discovered during my years there that many of the famous people we interviewed and did reports on felt they had that same connection with us. We saw people like Tom Hanks or Sidney Poitier as larger than life. But when I met these people many times, they were as excited to meet us as we were to meet them. So I'm just going to relate a few stories of how some of these famous, accomplished people reacted when we first met. I became friendly with Muhammad Ali back in 1980, actually. This is before I was on Good Morning America full time. He was at that time married to a high fashion model named Veronica Porsche. And she came to New York to do this little show, this morning talk show I was doing before GMA, doing beauty and fashion tips. Well, Ali came with her because he was kind of like a jealous husband. So at the end of the broadcast, he said, "You want to join us for lunch?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Who wouldn't want to join Muhammad Ali for lunch?" So I went out to lunch with him, and he was just, he was acting starstruck, which was crazy to me. But anyhow, at one point, he playfully, now remember this was 1980, so I was younger. He playfully waved his fist under my nose and said, "I can't let you hang out with my wife because you're one of them pretty boys." So we had a big laugh, but that was how we bonded, right? So I interviewed him many times after that at various events, and our paths crossed a lot. But over the years, even as he began to decline physically with his Parkinson's, he would always come up to me, 15 years later, and give me a big hug and say, "You're still pretty." That was Ali. But because I was doing weather, standing in front of the old green screen, a lot of the celebrities who came in, well, many of the people who came in just thought that looked a little unusual. But many of the celebrities were so curious about how we did that. Many of them wanted to actually join me in a weather segment. So we did what we used to call, at Good Morning America, weather duets. So I did weather duets with Tom Hanks, Billy Crystal, Bill Murray, who played a weatherman in a movie, Groundhog Day. Oh gosh, there was an old, Henry Kissinger, Chevy Chase, and the list goes on and on. But when Bill Murray did it with me, this was before he made that movie, I said to him, sort of like what my news director said to me, "You're a natural," So about a year later, he played a weatherman in this movie, Groundhog Day. So he was on the Today Show, which was our competition, promoting the movie. And I think it was Willard Scott, who was still doing weather in those days. And he said, "So Bill, what national weatherman did you pattern your character after?" And he said, "Spencer Christian." You can hear laughter all around the studio. But some of the more surprising reactions I got from famous people are these. GMA sent me to Richmond, Virginia, my old home, to do a remote there. I don't even remember what the assignment was, but I checked into the hotel where I was staying. on the lobby level, and then when I went to the elevator to go up to my room, the elevator was coming up from the ground level where many people had gotten out of taxis or limos or whatever. As the doors to the elevator opened, it was a pretty crowded elevator, I saw in the back of the elevator Sidney Poitier. So I went, oh my gosh, my heart's going thump thump, I want to meet this guy, but I don't want to call everyone else's attention to him. So I said nothing. The elevator went up about 2 floors, it stopped, doors opened, everyone got off the net floor except Sidney Poitier and me. As soon as the doors closed, he said, Mr. Christian, I'm a great fan of your work. I said, what? You're a fan of my work? I don't have much work to talk about. So we had a little bit of a chat there, but two or three of the more memorable reactions like that from truly famous, accomplished people were in the green room at Good Morning America. I went in there one morning when Richard Nixon was a guest, and obviously it was long after his presidency. And so this was probably early 1990s. And I had met and or interviewed other former presidents. So I thought, let me just chat him up a little bit. I could say I've met another president. I knew that he was a huge baseball fan. And he particularly liked the New York Mets because I used to take my kids to Mets games and we would often see Nixon in the owner's box with Fred Wilpon. So I was introducing myself, good morning, Mr. President. And before I could say my name, he said, oh, I know who you are. So I started talking to him about baseball. And once I felt that he was comfortable with me, and he let his guard down a little bit, I said, Mr. President, I want to tell you a true story. In 1960, when you ran against John Kennedy, I was in the 8th grade, and our civics teacher chose 2 students to do a mock presidential debate. I was Richard Nixon. The other kid was John Kennedy. I won the debate, and you lost the election. And so, he actually laughed. So I have the distinction of saying I made Richard Nixon laugh. Another one of those types of reactions, though, was one deeply, deeply touching to me. I've been a baseball fan my entire life, and I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan growing up, and probably because the Dodgers broke the color barrier of baseball. And I was born the year that Jackie Robinson came into Major League Baseball. So we grew up listening to Brooklyn Dodger games on radio, and my hero was Duke Snider, the center fielder. So in those days, now we're talking the 1950s, the 3 greatest, or at least the most celebrated center fielders in baseball were Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Duke Snider. They all played in New York. So on this day in the early 1990s, Duke Snider was going to be a guest in Good Morning America to talk about how the players from his generation didn't make the big dollars. So they had to go to these souvenir shows and sign autographs to make a little money. So I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta go meet my childhood hero, Duke Snider. So one of the producers came to me once the Duke arrived, and he said, your hero is in the green room. So I said, I can't wait to get down there and meet him and introduce myself. I walked into the green room, and before I could say a word, Duke Snider stood up and went, Spencer, I'm a big fan. I wept. I cried. I just couldn't believe it. So, and he saw my reaction, and he came over and gave me a big hug, and I could not believe that this famous, awesome baseball star who had been my childhood hero knew who the heck I was, number one, and was actually a fan, number 2. But those are just a few of the memorable experiences I've had in this improbable career. And now we'll get to Jimmy Carter. I had the pleasure of meeting and or interviewing a number of presidents in their post-presidency for the most part. And in 1988, Good Morning America sent me to Atlanta, Georgia, to interview Jimmy Carter on the grounds of the Carter Presidential Library, which was just opening. So the broadcast is on from 7 to 9 a.m. And the crews, we normally arrive in locations like that at least an hour before the broadcast. So I'm there at 5:45 a.m. with the camera person. We're getting all set up. And in those days, Jimmy Carter was an avid runner. And he was out jogging around the grounds of the Presidential Library with a Secret Service agent. And he came running up to where we were, all sweaty and everything, and he said, Spencer, I'm Jimmy Carter. And like Nixon said to me, I know who you are, Mr. President. But I had interviewed his younger brother, Billy. Remember Billy Carter? Yeah. Did all those outrageous things, embarrassed his brother. The next words out of Jimmy Carter's mouth were, the Carter family wants you to know how much we appreciate your kindness to Billy when you interviewed him 8 years ago. I thought, how in the world does he even know I interviewed Billy 8 years ago? But I was deeply touched by that. So he and I had an extensive conversation beyond the interview. And a couple of years later, I went to do a live remote broadcast on the grounds of where the Carters were building a house for Habitat for Humanity. And I stayed there after the broadcast, got to know the Carters a little bit. And then over the years, he was a prolific writer. He published a number of books. So over the years, I would interview him when a new book came out. And then finally, after I moved, I shouldn't say finally, but later, after I moved to the Bay Area in 1999, I was invited to MC Jimmy Carter's 75th birthday celebration in Americus, Georgia. It's one of the greatest honors of my career. And so we connected some more. And then he came to the Bay Area for a couple of his book interviews in the early 2000s. Then in 2019, when he was turning 95 and Rosalind Carter was turning 92, I was invited to MC their joint birthday celebrations in Atlanta, in Plains, Georgia, at the church where Jimmy Carter taught Sunday school for many, 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 many years. So, when I say I've had an improbable journey, I think you can see what I mean by that. But my improbable journey goes way beyond what I have experienced in my career. And I'll try to wrap this up quickly because I'd like to do some Q&A here. I was, as I told you, I was born in 1947. I grew up in the old segregated South in rural Virginia. And many people don't think of Virginia as a southern state. They think of places like Mississippi and Alabama. Let me tell you, Richmond, Virginia was the capital of the Confederacy. So when I was growing up in Virginia, everything was so rigidly segregated, it might as well have been Mississippi or Alabama. And those signs of separation didn't come down until I was almost 20 years old. So the first 20 years of my life, I lived a life where my government told me I was a second-class citizen. And so I think it's improbable that someone from my background, poor, rural, black, southern, would have had the opportunity to experience what I've experienced. So for that experience and for that, those layers of experience in my life, I'm deeply thankful. So getting into the business was an improbable journey for me. Making the transition from reporter to just a weatherman to all the things I got to experience on national TV and now here in the Bay Area was an improbable journey. So I'd like to share that with people and let them know that when I talk about these experiences, I'm not doing it boastfully, I'm doing it thankfully because I'm just so blessed to have had the opportunity to have these experiences. But there's a third avenue in my life that the public largely doesn't know about, and that is, for about 30 years, I was an addicted gambler. The gambling addiction started before I joined Good Morning America, while I was still on the local news in New York, and it only grew, can be, from point A to point B 7 miles away until I moved here. So yeah, I would say the Bay Area. But I love being here, and I love the weather here, because if I don't like the weather I'm experiencing in Castro Valley, I can drive over to Burlingame. If I don't like the weather there, I can drive up to Corte Madera. So, yeah. Yes.
I see you as a wine. See you as a wine aficionado. You do have something special you'd like to share with us? Is there a...
I didn't bring a bottle tonight.
No, I know. If you could crack open a bottle right now.
I know what you mean. Well, my love affair with wine began with Bordeaux, red Bordeaux. And for those of you who just don't study wine. Red border wines are generally a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. They used to blend Malbec, but they don't use that much anymore. The first time I tasted a wine that gave me that religious experience, it was a red Bordeaux wine, and that was back in 1977. And since then, I've just been this wine lover. But I appreciate all wines from all regions, all the great varieties. So I don't drink only Bordeaux, but that's my go-to.
When I grew up on the East Coast, I would watch you on GMA. And then I heard that you were coming up to California and you were interested in wine. I thought, what's he talking about? What do you mean wine? now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah. Yes.
In this new world of social media and AI and what's going TikTok, what do you think the future of broadcast media?
I don't even know if we're going to have much of a future, and I don't say that to be a wise guy. I almost said smart ass, but I wouldn't say that to an audience. But it's people's attention spans are becoming shorter and shorter, I think, because of that proliferation of all these different media. I mean, our cell phones are a medium, and TikTok is a medium, and Facebook, and Instagram, and it's. I think we are evolving into a population with short attention spans, and I don't think that's a good thing. But I don't know how to change it. I don't know if it can change.
Do we have one or two more roving mics out here?
I have a question.
Okay.
So, and this is probably because I don't know, and I haven't ever asked you this, but when we watch the news and it'll say 30% chance of rain,
or
50% chance of rain, and I'm like, is it going to rain or not?
Yeah.
So, and then I have to figure out, it's only going to rain for this 1 hour.
Yeah, I know.
Is that so? That's the confusing part.
Of course it is, and truly is a good question, because people ask me that all the time. So when we say 30% chance of rain, what that basically means is, over the years, as we have observed weather conditions, whatever the conditions are, as they are right now, this level of humidity, the winds at this speed, the interaction of warm air masses with cold air masses, whenever we've had this particular mix of elements, the rain has happened 30% of the time. And that's basically what it is.
Last one.
Yes.
Spencer, I want to thank you for being here, and you couldn't have picked a more age-appropriate group to talk to than this one. And we have so enjoyed this tonight. I hope it's not the last time we all get together again.
That means so much to me. I really appreciate that, and honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I have enjoyed this as much as you have.
And I will say that we do have some of his books over here, and it's an amazing read. I'm not just saying that. I sent it to my kids. They sent it to their cousins. I mean, so the book is available, and it tells way more in detail what he's talking about. It's truly one of those quick, fast, amazing reads. Sorry.
Thanks.
You can pay me later.
Okay.
All right, microphone. Great.
So I was just letting Spencer know we have a few tokens of appreciation to share with Spencer. And can I hand this to you first?
Yeah.
Thanks. So, let's see, over here against the wall we have from Del Del.
All right. Thank you.
I'd like to give you our guest speaker, Rotary guest speaker.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
We've got this over. We'll go away. Keep working.
Don't put it near your hand.
Hold on. Gotta get my phone.
How many books did you bring? A lot.
I have more in the car.
Oh, let me just explain for those of you who are interested in the book. When it went out of print several years ago, the publisher, which hadn't really put much of a promotional effort behind the book, said, the book's going out of print, but you can buy back as many copies of your own book.
Oh, no.
So I bought a whole bunch of copies at $10 a book. So when I go to events like this, I have to sell them at some price, so I sell them at $20 per copy. I hope that's not too much.
Okay, so done.
Well done.
Well done.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you all for coming tonight. We had a wonderful presentation from